People who literally reshaped our entire understanding of the universe. Did you know Albert Einstein was considered so slow as a kid that his teachers honestly thought he lacked basic intelligence? Crazy, right? And Charles Darwin, the absolute father of evolutionary biology, he was a totally average student who actually despised memorization. Thomas Edison, he was expelled and literally labeled unteachable. So what exactly changed for them? Well, it definitely wasn't some sudden genetic mutation. It was their daily habits. Because here's the thing, intelligence is not some innate gift. It's an architecture. It's a structure that you build, literally brick by brick. Just like our little stickman builder is carefully stacking stones to carve out a brand new reality, these geniuses built their intellect through very deliberate routines. And today, we're going to break down exactly what those systems are, how they physically change the brain, and how you can apply them to your own life.
All right, let's get into part 1, deep thought and productive struggle. You know, our modern instincts actually perfectly contrast with the real habits of geniuses. When most of us want to get smarter today, what do? We consume. We binge videos, we flood our brains with podcasts, and we just endlessly scroll. But neuroscience tells us something really fascinating. Your brain actually becomes smarter when it's forced to think without any input at all. You literally have to sit in what feels like sheer boredom to let your mind actually get to work.
See, when you finally cut off all that external noise, you activate something in your brain called the default mode network. This is the neural system that's entirely responsible for abstract thinking, sudden insight, long-term strategic reasoning, and profound creativity. Modern studies consistently show this. People who regularly engage in undistracted, input-free thinking score significantly higher in fluid intelligence. It's a real game changer. And this brings us right back to Einstein. He famously performed these massive world-altering thought experiments, but he didn't do it by crunching numbers on a chalkboard. He did it by simply walking alone for hours. No books, no notes, no podcasts, just pure, undistracted thinking. He'd ask himself wild questions like, what happens if I chase a beam of light? His genius was literally forged in the quiet discomfort of his own mind, just wandering around without an external tether. Now, all this quiet thinking often leads to a second crucial habit, which is productive struggle. Notice how our stick figure is carving out a really complex wooden puzzle here and how it mirrors the firing of new neural pathways. Highly intelligent people don't rush to find the answer. They deliberately delay asking for help because while instant solutions might feel productive in the moment, they vanish from your memory almost immediately. Struggle isn't a sign of a weak mind, guys. It's the very mechanism that builds it. The brain actually strengthens through trying, failing, and adjusting. Benjamin Franklin actually utilized this exact mechanism. Here's what he'd do. He would read an essay, put it entirely out of sight, and then try to rewrite the entire thing purely from memory. Only after really grappling with the ideas would he finally compare his version to the original. He deliberately forced his brain to retrieve and reorganize the information. And today, modern MRI imaging proves that this specific kind of deliberate struggle activates much more permanent neural pathways than passive reading ever could. Moving right along to part 2, synthesizing mental models. So the way most people take notes is essentially acting like a computer hard drive. They just write to store information for later. But geniuses use a daily thinking journal completely differently. They write to clarify their thinking. They do it to make their vague, kind of fuzzy ideas sharp and precise. And more importantly, they write to actively expose the gaps in their own understanding. If you ever look inside the notebooks of someone like Leonardo da Vinci, you are not going to find neat, tidy essays. You'll find questions, super messy diagrams, weird fragments of thoughts, and even straight-up contradictions. His notebooks were practically alive. And there is hard science backing this up now. Research from places like Princeton and UCLA proves that writing things out by hand improves conceptual understanding way more than reading or typing on a keyboard. Why? Because writing by hand is literally thinking made visible. And when you clarify those thoughts, you start to build what's called transfer intelligence. This is the amazing ability to take an idea from one context and successfully apply it to a completely different one. Charlie Munger famously called this building a latticework of mental models. Think of our little stickman grafting different vines together to create something stronger and entirely new. Your brain thrives when you force it to learn way outside your comfort zone. This brilliantly illustrates why polymaths like Aristotle and Da Vinci absolutely dominated history. They didn't just study one thing in isolation. They connected ideas across entirely different fields. They took cause and effect from physics, combined it with a concept of adaptation from biology, and then layered it all with the incentives of economics. When your brain learns to make these kinds of connections across completely different domains, your fluid intelligence absolutely skyrockets.
Okay, part 3, deliberate memory training and cognitive energy.
We so often separate memory from intelligence, treating memory like it's just some kind of parlor trick, but memory is actually foundational to high intelligence. Nikola Tesla, for instance, could visualize complete, complex machines, rotate them mentally in 3D space, and even run diagnostic tests on them, all entirely inside his mind. No way, right? Ancient scholars actually spent hours deliberately training their memories because they understood that a sharper, more organized memory creates far faster reasoning.
And the good news is, you can train this yourself through highly specific techniques. Things like active recall before reviewing your notes, spaced repetition, vivid visualization, and even just teaching learned concepts to someone else. MRI studies show that these don't just help you ace a test, they physically reorganize your neural networks, creating vastly more efficient connections in your brain. Now I want you to look at this number. 4. That is the maximum number of deeply focused hours Charles Darwin worked per day. Just 4 hours. He spent the entire rest of his day walking, resting, and reflecting. And there's a really good reason for that. Smart people fiercely protect their executive function. They understand that chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and constant digital stimulation actively damage the core components of IQ. Your brain is a biological machine, guys. It absolutely does not upgrade during the hustle or the grind. It upgrades during recovery. To build intelligence, you must protect your deep sleep, get natural sunlight, and crucially, allow yourself to just feel bored sometimes.
Let's bring it all together in part 4, building your intelligent system.
All right, so here are the actionable systems that actually physically restructure your brain. First, take a daily walk with absolutely no input. Second, force yourself to write down your best answer before you ever ask for help. Keep a thinking journal to expose your own mental gaps. Learn one concept entirely outside your field every single week. Always try to actively recall information before you just passively review it. And above all else, prioritize your deep sleep and allow yourself periods of sheer boredom.
This is the ultimate truth of the cognitive sculptor. Intelligence does not increase through quick hacks. It increases through relentless daily habits. The smartest minds in human history didn't just chase intelligence. They built the daily systems that allowed it to organically and powerfully grow. So I want to leave you with this final essential question. Look closely at your own daily routines right now. What habit will you build starting today to expand the architecture of your own mind?